Pharma marketing. What is it? How is it different to other industries? Today, we'll cover the 5 key differences that separate pharmaceutical marketing from other industries. We'll lean on the expert advice from Michael Bramble, whose team recently won a Marketing Innovation Award across the entire pharmaceutical industry. He also reveals a must-know drug launch strategy to help you succeed. Stick around to the end for tips that could transform your marketing approach. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on these gems. It's a free marketing masterclass, so let's get into it. A perfect segue actually into my next question. You have such extensive experience in marketing, won several awards. Outside of obviously super tight regulation, given pharmaceuticals has changed because of what's happened in the past, what 5 things make pharmaceutical marketing different from other industries? And maybe I'll start you off with one of them that I noticed. So I did marketing for a year. I suppose when people think about marketing, there's that creative, you make those Coca-Cola ads, those Red Bull ads that are super extravagant. And so my girlfriend works for a fashion label, and I say, look, pharmaceutical marketing is probably less of that right side creativity. It's more the left side, very strategic, very analytical, and maybe people don't really understand that, given that's just the environment we play in. But would love to hear kind of what are your maybe 5 differences or 4? If we kick off.
Look, so I think there is that sort of left brain, right brain, and I must say I'm far more the analytical. People show me sort of ads and things and fonts, and I kind of zone out. But I think at the end of the day, marketing is changing behaviour, and whilst I think we probably we're hamstrung a little bit by thinking that we're so heavily regulated and things like that, but we're no more regulated than the, say, financial services industry or insurance or things like that, and they seem to do pretty well in advertising and things like that. I think with so I think first thing is different is we can probably be too conservative. I think there is lots of ability nowadays with the advent of social media. Obviously you can never advertise a product, but you can certainly drive disease state awarenesses, campaigns. The ability nowadays to funnel, to track patients through their digital journey and where they're searching, and then serve them questionnaires or things like that to then go back and see your doctor. Also tapping into, and you talk about the Prime Awards, but our Prime Awards was working with our creative agency, but also with our digital medical agency, Rose RX, because people now aren't going to the bricks and mortar doctor and sitting in a waiting room. They're going on to your eucalyptus, your moshes, your pilots, your midnight health, your burst health, and having these online consultations. So there's a real ability to accelerate and play in that space as well. And I think that whilst it's not seen as like hugely creative, it is thinking outside the box when it comes to pharma as well. Pharma's also a tough one because you have no engagement with the end user. You've obviously got the prescriber, whether it's the doctor or the specialist, GP or specialist, and then you've got the pharmacist. You've got those sort of all these intermediaries. But with those, then there's ability to influence. So being creative, around obviously the person writing the script, but then also, with the pharmacist, if the product's genericized, what's the value of giving the brand? Can you provide patient support materials they won't get with the generic? All these sorts of things. So I think there is an ability to be creative, certainly around that. And I think that one of the other things which is very different is we're really resource heavy, in pharma. So whilst we might be hamstrung in regulation, we have having far more resources we can call on, whether it's sales teams, promotional spend, partnerships with KOLs who influence prescribers, non-government, organisations that might, manage a disease state and those sorts of things. So there's lots of resources you can pull onto. As I said earlier on, marketing's changing behaviour. So you don't need that, award-winning Super Bowl ad to change behaviour. There's lots of ways to do it. And I think pharma marketing, we've probably got to be a little bit more creative and adventurous in what we can do.
And that's a super fascinating point that you mentioned earlier around the pharmacist, and I guess you come back to the tactical side of marketing, the 4 Ps or the 8 Ps if you subscribe to Seth Godin, and it's probably something I hadn't really appreciated. So when you get the privilege of working on a launch product, it's mainly promotion, but when you move to that classic established brand, maybe on the verge of being genericized, then that the placement and the price even you can play around with. And maybe to the marketers out there who are like, oh, there's only one lever I can pull. Actually, depending on where you land up in pharma, there's actually many levers you can pull, because I had no idea that.
I think for sure. And yeah, you're in this launch phase, where there's lots of resource and you're protected from your loss of exclusivity. But then, all products come to the end of their life cycle, and I think there is levers you can pull there. Yeah, price being obviously a major one. Promotion, whether you're going to continue to promote to differentiate versus generics. Whether it's a generic that, whether it's a tablet versus a device. We see biosimilars, you see the market share that Humira still has because that brand is so strong. So if your brand is strong and it's got to be written by a small group of people being rheumatologists who, are very brand loyal, there's an ability to continue to support them and engage with them in order to, it still has a huge sort of market share. So the days of sort of being genericized and walking away, there's partnerships with banner groups that their first line supplier might not have that generic available, so you're able to offer the brand at a good price, and then therefore patients aren't looking for a generic because the brand is still a reasonable price there. So I think all of those sorts of levers, and it can be done individually or all in tandem, make a really viable option in order to preserve value within the brand. But it also, lots of patients have been on the brand for a long time. They don't want to switch, so giving them a reason to stay on the brand. I think that's our job. It's to, and you've got to take a financial hit and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when it's genericized too, there might be far more patients that are now able to take it. So it's a bit of a volume price trade-off as well.
Yeah. Okay, so to the marketers out there, whether you're creative, whether you're logical into the data, it's an exciting place. So come over to Pharma, and it's brilliant because your expertise in lifecycle planning is obviously very evident in your answers. Have you got thoughts or questions about today's episode? Drop a comment below. Your insights and questions can help others in our community. And who knows, maybe your question will feature on a future episode. I did allude to most of our audience being sort of newcomers wanting to get in. I do have a viewer submitted question who is obviously working in the pharmaceutical industry. They'd love for you to, it sounds like a bit of a marketing tutorial to be honest. They'd love for you to share some insights on how pharmaceutical companies effectively launch new products. So what key factors are critical to success? So there's that one exciting launch. But on the converse is, as products approach their life cycle, loss of exclusivity, what market access initiatives, pricing strategies, and other measures do pharmaceutical companies sort of employ to protect and preserve those brands?
Well, look, I think the first one, like any new product's you've really got to be tapping into probably an unmet need. So whether it's a product that's in a completely new disease state that no one's treated in the past, that's pretty rare. But it can be, there's products in that space at the moment that, the treatments have quite a few side effects, or the device isn't great, or the mode of action isn't great, or how long it stays in the system. So any differentiator that can be of benefit to a patient of an unmet need, I think is really, really important. So I think that's the first thing around launching a product. I think the other successful thing is the influence that specialists have on a product, a successful launch, to be able to have, your medical team before, even before something has an indication, to be able to have medical discussions, off-label discussions around, we're looking about this molecule, this is what it's going to look like, or just to get the smartest minds in the room to help you launch, and doctors want to be doing that, specialists, because it's helping them too, because it's, at the end of the day, the patients are coming to them for help, and if you can provide that solution. So I think that's really important, that really long lead time, 12, 18 month lead time of KOL engagement, even more sometimes, is so important around launch. And then it's, having a really clear launch plan with regards to cascading of information from specialists down to, say, primary care, and then your field force being in primary care to then run those medical education events and doing all those sorts of things. So it's nothing, talking about me being a marketing expert or anything like that, it's certainly not, but it's just, I think once you've sort of done that and you've seen kind of a clear sort of game plan, you can sort of follow that and rinse and repeat a lot of the time. Obviously there's been a lot of new movements with online and things, but at the end of the day, launching a product and KOLs and having an unmet need are just kind of 101 of what you need to do to differentiate, within the market.
If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, because it helps us understand what content resonates with you and also helps keep us motivated so that we can continue to produce quality content for you. Plus, it's a great way to show love for our guests and the channel. Much appreciated.
As they get to the end of the life cycle, I think it really is just about how can you preserve value in those products, and how does value is an interesting word, but patients see value around it. It helps me. Pharmacists see value as well. What's the margin on it? Should I get a generic because I can make more margin? Those sorts of things. So, giving as much value to people across that continuum of people that you get involved in with regard to pharmaceutical product is really important. I think, as I said, pricing, continued promotion, supporting patients, and lots of sort of products or companies have done the wrong thing around just completely walking away, even though they've got a huge patient pool that are desperate for information and support and things like that. So sometimes it is weighing up that what's for the greater good, and if you've got other products that are coming through and you can continue to support because there's a real patient need, I think it's really important that you can't look at just Excel spreadsheets around product because no patient names and no side effects or pain or symptoms come up on spreadsheets. I think it's really keeping that customer first mentality and them in mind when making those kind of strategic decisions are really important.
I think what I hear super loud and clear, irrespective of if it's a launch or a classic brand, is put the patient first, and a bit of that design thinking, the outside in approach, where many other organizations is the inside out. Actually, let's listen to what our customers want, and from there we can find that unmet need, and if there is one, if not, then we maybe walk away, but typically there is a patient cohort out there. So.
For sure. And I think that's the one thing, and you get stuck in spreadsheets, and sometimes it's day to day, but it's what do you get up in the morning? It's just that someone is healthier or feeling better because of the product that you're working on, your company's brought to market is so important. For sure.
Super inspiring part of our industry.
For sure.
Again, amazing insights, great marketing tutorial. I have to charge that person. I'll send them the bill for that tutorial.
There's a lot better, more skilled people than me can get feedback. Hopefully it's just a couple of insights for sure.
Greatly appreciated. Now, last question for a bit of fun. If you were a pharmaceutical drug, what would your warning label say?
Well, I thought about this one. This is a hard one to say, but I think for me it would be, a lot of people that know would probably say only to be taken in small doses, I would suggest. And I'd say those small doses, especially if he's talking about his two young, crazy boys, or the West Tigers or the Wallabies, because it can be a bit of a punish pretty quickly. So small doses for sure.
I love that too. Funny. And hey, with Joseph Sawali being a Roosters fan going over, very sad moment, but stoked for the Wallabies.
Yes, so hopefully it can be the hope that we've needed since the 03 World Cup 21 years ago. It's been a long time, it's a generation, but we live in hope. So,
that's right. So we can have some more doses of you. We'll
exactly.
Take it.
Very true.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Mate, it's been a pleasure, and all the best with your career as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Now, you've got all the marketing strategies that you need, but you're unsure how this all fits into the bigger picture. Click here for a step-by-step guide on how my old oncology team transformed a sinking brand into a swimming success.